Hey everyone, it's Friday. It's time for our live Q&A. It's my favorite part of the week. I say this every week because it's true. I love being on with you guys. And I love to answer questions. So just coming on, if you're just joining, this is the live Q&A. I'm on Instagram and I'm on Facebook. So if I'm not looking at you, it's because I'm on two modes right now, so that you can all chime in and say hello. So if you're watching, make sure to say hi. Give me a heads up that you're on. And if any questions come up while I'm talking, if anything comes up, please don't hesitate to ask. If any concerns comes up, if any what ifs, if any, I'm struggling with this, Genevieve, what do you have? I'm here to help you. This is your time for some support. I have until 3:25-ish, 3:30. I have a client. So in between clients, happy to be with you, happy to bring you some pleasure today. And I have some backlogged questions, but before I get to those, I just want to remind you that we have the last live self-pleasure challenge coming up. This is the last one that I'm doing live, which means I will be on live with you every single day at 11 a.m. for 5 days straight, starting on August 13th. Okay, and that's in the Pleasure Tribe, which is a Facebook group. So make sure, I can't post the link anymore because Facebook's onto what I do, and I don't know, they don't love the sexual empowerment piece, so they don't let me post my link. So instead, what I want you to do is just go search for the Pleasure Tribe, okay, and then we'll let you in. Make sure you answer all 3 questions to get in. We'll let you in, and then we all begin on August 13th for 5 days. The people that complete the Pleasure Challenge, you will win $2,500 worth of prizes. That's $2,500 worth of prizes, which is insane. We currently have about 450 people in the group. My delicious, juicy goal is to get 1,000 of you into the group, into the Pleasure Tribe, and to then break off and do a New York Pleasure Tribe as well, and start doing some in-person things around self-pleasure with the New York Pleasure Tribe. So that's the vision, guys. Who wants to help me see it? All right, your chance to ask me anything as I'm answering. I'm going to answer some questions that I got this week backlogged. And as I'm answering these, if anything comes up, if you have questions in your own life, go ahead and ask them. So the first question I have is from Chris Roberts. Thank you, Chris, for this question. Chris said, I wonder about the difference between men and women in the context of ejaculation. The Taoists say that frequent male ejaculation will drain and deplete a man. Okay, so yeah, so I'm not much of a studier, right? I was put on this, incarnated in this body to experience. I'm very much an experiencer. I'm not one that's going to sit and read books and books. That's not my style. So I'm going to speak instead from my experience. Now, I do know that there are books on this. Jaya, who's my previous mentor, is a studier, and she loves to study things, and so she's someone you could ask, or any other sexologists or sex coaches that like to study. But I will give you instead my experience. So ejaculation and orgasm are different, right? Are different things. And I want to really make space for that in both male bodies and female bodies, that ejaculation does not mean orgasm. Sometimes ejaculation is not actually what the body wants. And we've been trained in our society, conditioned in our society, that ejaculation equals orgasm through just societal things, porno, thinking that external reaction means that there must be something happening. I don't want to bash ejaculation, because it is something that happens in sexuality. Female ejaculation and male ejaculation, both of them do have, in my experience, a depleting effect, right? Or a clearing effect. They're both going to clear. And in a female body, it seems to clear from the adrenal kidney area, which is where chi is formulated from, right? That's where chi kind of moves through the body. This is the life force moves. So this is all, again, I'm not a studier. This is my experience. And on male bodies, I've seen the same thing. I can actually feel on my body when I'm having ejaculatory orgasms or just ejaculating without the orgasm. I can feel that it's pulling from the adrenal kidney area, specifically on the right side. It's pretty wild. And I can feel that pulling out. Sometimes it's amazing when I have a big buildup of energy in my system, when I really need that release, fabulous. Other times it's way more rejuvenating and replenishing to take that energy and bring it up through the body and allow it to kind of move and caress and love all of the other areas of my body. So keeping it internal, which I like to teach sex outside of the realm of gender. Recently, it was a big aha for me a few weeks ago about just how much we assign gender-specific things in sexuality, and I honestly think our bodies are not really that different, which I may get some backlash saying this, but just having experiences with all genders, noticing that there isn't much of a difference. So male bodies, same thing, right? We can bring it back in and up through the body. I love practicing a transmutation breath, which is when you breathe in, hold the breath, breathe in a little more, squeeze the pelvic floor muscles, hold, and imagine bringing the energy all the way up to the crown of the head. Hold for as long as you can, and then when you can't hold any longer, just simply release and exhale. And I always shake a bit, right? Allow the exhale to move through the body. Okay, so that is something you can do instead of ejaculatory orgasms. If you want to do an ejaculatory orgasm, you 100% can. It is for the female body, it's a downward and out pushing experience. Every female body is able to ejaculate. Every male body is able to ejaculate. Not all of them do currently, right? If that's a sex life challenge that you'd like to have, you can DM me. We can play with that if it's something you want to play in. You don't have to, but if it's an area you want to go in, right? So there's no, what I hope you're kind of digesting from this is that there's no way to have sex that's better or worse than another. There's no sexual act that's frowned upon or really great for you. There is a clearing effect in ejaculatory energy versus a nourishing effect of an internal orgasm. They're both amazing and they're both used for different purposes. It's more about how conscious can we be in our sexual practice, so that, you know, even if we're delving into crazy kink and we're going deep into sadomasochism and we're deep in the throes of physical pain, can we remain really conscious so that every single sensation has a purpose, so that every touch is sacred, so that every ejaculation is a sacred ejaculation, right? There's the difference versus an autopilot reaction, which is how many of us go through sexuality most of the time, because sexuality is a big, powerful force, and it's easier to dissociate from it than anything else, right? Because it's so big. To remain conscious in front of a tornado, that's a lot, right? That's a lot for your body to hold, for your sacral area to hold. And so the more that we can be present and conscious and aware of the different types of how we express sexuality and how our body wants to release, or how our body wants to be fed and nourished, and constantly asking, what is going to up-level my pleasure right now? What's going to be the most pleasurable? Will an ejaculatory orgasm be pleasurable right now? And deciding that moment to moment, bit by bit, always allowing yourself to be a no after you've already said yes, because the body has that internal structure. The body knows exactly where to go and how to do it. So what I really want us to release is this notion that there's any good, bad, right, wrong. This notion that there's a way a man should do it versus a woman should do it. I want to allow for us to look at sex as a rainbow, right? As a complex rainbow. And our only task is to become fully present, fully conscious, and fully aware of the bigness that's happening in front of us, right? And be in awe of it. And in that, we get to choose, right, how to play with this massive force, that creation energy, that creation energy will then take us through our lives with the same mastery that we get in the bedroom. Right? The more we can master the force by ourselves or with partners, the greater ability we have to master our own life force outside of the bedroom. So thank you for that question, Chris. That was fabulous. I'm going to move on to the next one. And if you have questions, those of you that are watching, or if that brought up anything for you, if you're watching on the replay, you can write #replay. Just want to do another reminder for our self-pleasure challenge that starts August 13th. It's going to teach you how to hone in this massive sexual energy inside of your body, how to rev it up and then hold it, right? To become a master of your own sexuality, to then master your life. August 13th, go into the Pleasure Tribe. You have to go into Facebook and search for the Pleasure Tribe and make sure that you answer all of the questions, and we'll get you in there. Okay, next question. I love questions like this. Hang on. Next question. I can't remember who this is from. Oh, Alexis. She said, how do I get my man to love me the way I want to be loved? He's a little awkward. Okay, so Alexis, I get these questions all the time, and thank you for your honesty of like, he's awkward, this feels weird, right? Like, yeah. Sexuality is big, right? Like I was saying before, it's huge. It's this massive force of energy. His awkwardness is I don't know how to maneuver around this big life force. I have never had the experience of learning how to hold it, and it's probably a little fear-based. Like I'm not quite sure what to do here because it's a tornado. Like sexual energy is a tornado, right? It's massive, and so he's like, whoa, what is going on? Okay, and this could be for, again, I want to release gender out of these conversations. I'm done with them. So this could be for a woman with male sexuality. This could be with non-gender binary, right? Like it does not matter. When we are in the presence of sexual energy, it is massive. And if we don't have the training to hold this massive life force and really achieve mastery, we're not going to be able to do this in our world, right? And so sex is life practice. So, okay, how do you get him to love you the way you want to be loved? So first of all, we can't get anyone to do anything, right? We can only change our own internal reality and external reality, actually, once we master sex. But we can't affect their reality, right? So first is knowing that and understanding that like, can't get anyone to do anything. I can only affect my reality. And then the second thing that you could do is you could start to create your reality, right? So step one, how do we create a reality? Step one, self-pleasure, 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 self-pleasure. It'll bring that energy up in through you, and you will learn your mastery over your own sexuality. You. So that at any given moment, no matter what is happening around you, no matter what external stimuli, no matter what type of awkwardness or weirdness is coming at you, you can be like, hang on a bit. I know exactly how to bring myself pleasure in this moment. And maybe it's saying no to the other being there. Or maybe it's saying, fuck yeah, but move it a little bit to the left. Right? or maybe it's using your fullness of your expression to give them cues, right? So step one is self-pleasure practice. Join the self-pleasure challenge. You can learn that. That's huge. Your sexuality is 100% your own responsibility. The level of sexual pleasure in your life is your responsibility. Let me just say that again. It's really important. We're constantly blaming it on our partners. The level of sexual satisfaction and fulfillment in your own life is 100% on you to achieve, on you to find, on you to rediscover. Now, once you get that, when you are in the presence of another, right, then you can start to recognize the areas where they might not be meeting your energy the way that your energy craves to be met, right? And then what you can start to do is to shift and adjust yourself so that you're getting the most amount of pleasure possible. So that adjustment could be moving away. That adjustment could be moving forward. That adjustment could be saying, this really turns me on, and it will turn me on more if you do this. Now, in terms of giving communication and languaging, learning your own erotic blueprint and then speaking that onto your partner, learning your partners, is going to be amazing for communicating between awkwardness and sexuality, right? So I've been through the blueprints before. I'll name them quickly so that you have them. But that's a really great step for like developing these very pragmatic communications between two people. So there's energetic. Energetic blueprint is gonna want stillness, tease, anticipation, right? So I'll tell a little story in this. I'm an energetic shapeshifter. I'll talk about shapeshifter in a sec. But I was recently on a date, and I was on a date with someone who I believe thinks he's a shapeshifter, but I think he's more of a sexual, like a high sexual, or at least he's conditioned into his sexual. And so I'm energetic, right? And so I need stillness, anticipation, space, deep connection, right? A sexual is just gonna go for genitals pretty quick, right? A sexual wants the orgasm, wants the penetration. Neither of us are better or worse, right? It's simply the way that our nervous systems are conditioned. So we were in his car and we were making out, and I noticed that he was going toward my genitals pretty quickly. And so because I am 100% responsible for my own pleasure, I don't need to freak out. I don't need to put judgment on him. I don't need to tell him he's doing anything wrong, because he's not. He's following his own blueprint, right? He's following his nervous system. So what I started to do was I started to pull away in my body, find my own pleasure in the pulling away. Like I'd pull back and kind of tease him, find my own pleasure, and then moan. So that he started to get, oh, she really loves space. That's different. That's not what my nervous system wants, but like, oh, right? Someone who's conscious and grounded and present in their body will notice that. Oh. And then he started to pull away. And I was like, he's getting it, right? So we started doing this dance. And then knowing that he was asexual, every once in a while I'd go in and meet him there when I was fed in my energetic, right? So we're playing in this dance between these two nervous systems, which is what makes sex so freaking fascinating, right? As we have this dance, this pull, this push-pull back and forth, you will very rarely find someone who's your blueprint. You don't really want to. It's a bit boring. There's no growth there. There's no expansion. So we want to have that push-pull. There's a sensual blueprint as well. So sensuals are going to get turned on by the 5 senses. They're also going to get turned on by touch, skin, right? Their nervous systems want this kind of grounded touch, this contoured touch, massage. Now, if you pair up a sensual with a sexual, the sexual is going to go, wait, why aren't you touching my genitals yet? Right? Again, just different nervous systems. And the sensual, as soon as you go toward the sensual's genitals, the sensual is going to be like, well, wait, am I supposed to orgasm now? Like, I'm so confused. Like, right? They get stuck in their head. And so what we don't want to do is make either person wrong. We want to simply learn the blueprints, learn your partner's blueprint, learn your own blueprint. Again, in the self-pleasure challenge, if you jump in, you'll learn yours really clearly. You'll learn how to feed yours, and you'll also learn in your body what it feels like to feed other nervous systems. So that if you have a partner who's a different nervous system from yours, you can start to understand and wrap your mind around how they want to best receive pleasure, right? Then there's kinky. Kinkies are going to be turned on by intensity, right? So often, and we're not ever one, right? So with this particular person that I was telling the story of, where I was making out with them in their car, I noticed that both of us kind of met on kinky. We both kind of had a kinky edge to us. And so while he was more sexual and I was more energetic, every once in a while he'd come in and pull my hair, or every once in a while I'd kind of stare him down with this really dark energy. And I was like, oh, cool, we're meeting here. So often there's a place that you can meet your partner, even if just for a millisecond, to keep that sexual energy moving through you, right? But again, we only know this through conscious awareness and presence of the most powerful force possible in your body, right? Which is your sexual energy. So learning this, it's amazing that learning this is not, I mean, it should be just a regular part of life, right? There's no shoulds, but how beautiful would it be? Because it is the most powerful force, our sexual energy, that you can have. And it's why people get so funky about it. Once we learn to master this, once you learn to master your blueprint, oh my God, I forgot about the shapeshifters, I'm sorry. Shapeshifters is the 5th one. Shapeshifters, you guys get turned on by all of it, often all at once, okay? And I wanna allow you full permission to get it all at once, have it all, right? I mentioned I'm an energetic shapeshifter, and so I have to titrate between like having all of it all at once and then having space and stillness, backing away. So you'll see me often at parties and I'm like fully in and I'm like right in the middle of the dog pile, and then I'll like, and I communicate that, right? I communicate that, and I don't need to do it in a boring way. I can still be in my sexual energy. I don't need to shut my body down, because I'm in full acceptance and awareness and love of what my nervous system currently needs. And again, it's gonna shift. It's gonna shift. My blueprint shifted 3 times already. It's gonna shift. But because I know that, I can just go, okay, cool. My nervous system's an energetic now. Okay, let me move out and get her fed, and then I'll move back in and feed the shapeshifter, and I'll move back out, right? And to be able to do that with other people, right? And to just simply love them. The best compliments that I get from lovers, I love this so much. So many people say, Genevieve, I love that I can just simply show up fully as me with you. There's no part of me that I need to hide, right? There's no part of me that I need to stop or change or fix, right? Because that's the same way I relate to myself and my own sexuality. There is nothing that you need to do to shift. There's nothing that you need that you don't already have. Everyone on the planet is in that space, right? The struggle is that we're conditioned against realizing that, right? We're conditioned against remembering our wholeness. And the way to decondition our body, the way to come back to that experience of oneness, we can imagine it in our minds. We can read about it all day long. We can have the experience, we can go to seminars, right? But if we haven't fully felt ourselves as everything and nothing all at once, it's quite difficult to do that to another, and to love fully and deeply and really, really like dive in to another's essence. And that is what we're really craving. That is the connection that every single human on the planet wants. This deconditioned, fully alive, raw, real connection. Sex brings us there because it brings us back home to ourselves. I don't care what kind of sex you're having. Whatever kind of sex is going to best settle your nervous system and open you up to be. I just saw Bess, that's what I've been receiving lately too with the feedback, about people being able to be themselves. I mean, it's the greatest gift. It's the greatest gift to be in the presence of another and to see them as divine. And we don't need to go through, 10 years of Tantra. We don't need to practice conscious shibari. It doesn't need to be hard, guys, right? It gets to be here, right? It gets to be easy. You get to shift it. I mean, I have clients shifting this in 2 weeks. Boom, they remember who they are. Boom, they're in their wholeness. That's it. That's it. And then from that place, everything that happens around us can be magic and juicy and delicious. Julia asked a question. I have a client in 6 minutes, so I'm going to try to answer this really fast, and then I'll jump off. Okay. Julia, what are your thoughts about the hormonal bath of attraction, especially when folks get self-conscious experiencing it? I don't know what you mean by that part. How do you see that being a way to understand our wholeness? Do you think that blueprints change under conditions of having a strong crush type reaction? So I think there's layers here, Julia. There's a truth layer of wholeness. I like to play on all these layers. Jaya told me these layers and I love them, so I like to repeat them back. Truth layer is that we are all one, right? We're whole, we're not even here. There's no one here, which is amazing. And sex can bring us there, to that place that doesn't exist. It's like there's nowhere to go, and we can be reminded. Then there's also a karmic layer, which is like a karmic conditioning, past life stuff, which in a truth layer doesn't really exist, right? On the truth layer, there's no past and present. It's just now. And we can have the experience of having past lives. We can also have the experience of having hormonal attraction and having physical things. And we can play into that experience and dive into that experience rather than negating it and bypassing it because we're now jumping into truth layer. So, and just to mention, so that's the body sensation level. We also have a feeling level, like an emotional level where emotions need to come in. Don't need to, but we can play there. And a thought level where sometimes thoughts really play, subconscious beliefs, right? So Julia, I think that hormones, we can play in the game of hormones having an effect on sexual attraction. And if we're in that game, then I think they absolutely do. Right? If we're in that game, I've seen people shifting hormones and then shifting attraction. Now, I do believe that we can recreate chemistry. So if hormones shift and we want to recreate the chemistry, we can do that because, again, it's the game. So we can go, how do we, right? Maybe it's through funking with our own hormones. Maybe we can play there, or maybe we can play with like the actual polarity exchange between the two people. Maybe we can play with expanding blueprints. But there's a lot of places to play here. And I hesitate to say like it has a big effect because anything can if we want it to. It's all about where you want to play. So if you want to play on the level of hormones, like, yeah, totally. Or you could be like, that doesn't exist and no one's even here. You can play that too. And then just like dance with that and see what happens. Or you can play on like the feelings level, like we need love in order to have that, right? Or we can play in the space of, well, love's already here all the time. So it's all great. I don't know if I really answered your question, Julia, and I'm conscious of time, so I wanted to kind of give you a quick summation. And I'm happy to go further if you want to like elongate the questions a little bit and give me some more on that. I can talk more about it next week. I will be back on next week at 3 o'clock Eastern. Don't forget to join the Self-Pleasure Challenge, 5 days. August 13th is the first day. It's free. And it's the last one that I'm doing live. We have almost 500 people in the group currently. I plan to get 1,000, and then we're gonna branch off and do a New York or tri-state area Pleasure Tribe and start to do some in-person events, which is really exciting after this one. That's gonna be the next live opportunity. So make sure you're in there. The Pleasure Tribe is the name of the group. I would have a link, but Facebook isn't letting me post it. So go, actually have to like search in the search bar for the Pleasure Tribe. And then you can come in and invite your friends. If you invite 20 friends, you get a 60-minute session with me. That's $1,000 value. So 20 friends in there, 60-minute session with me. I think that's everything. Okay, I have a client. I love you guys so much. Thanks for the juicy, delicious questions, for being here with me. Remember that we're here to play, right? YOLO. And I think that's it. Bye, Insta. Bye, Facebook. Thank you. Bye, guys.